Myth number one: Black and Mexican crime is on the rise. Now, since the mid 90s, black and Mexican crime has been steadily taking a downturn, believe it or not. White crime, however, is on the rise. From 2007 to 2008, you had law enforcement reports the murder rate has dropped to 4%, and the total number of rapes has dropped to 89,000. The lowest it's ever been in the last in 20 years. Well, of course, you have some white people who want to disagree with that since they've recently heard the story about the 11 to 16 black guys raping an 11-year-old girl. They're like, aha, see, we told you, black people, that's all you do is rape. Ha ha ha, 1 point for us. But yet, they choose to ignore the number of white guys that's out here, or white ladies out here who are sexually assaulting younger children. Especially, I mean, every day, every week, you hear a difference. You hear another story about some white adult molesting and sexually assaulting some younger children, or the fact that how many white children have been gone missing. You know what I'm saying? Like they won't ignore that shit, but let a story come about black folks doing something wrong. Oh my God, yeah, see right here, we told you. That's all black folks do. And once again, we can pull up story after story about white folks and what they're doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? This is all white folks do as well. So that's why I'm like, yo, don't even go there. However, anyway, car thefts are down by 12%, and the only increase was that of property theft, but that only went up by 2%. And for the third straight year since 2009, crime has declined to 5.3%. See, people want to talk about all black people do is commit crimes. Well, if that's true, then can you explain to me why, when it comes to getting arrested, white people outnumber blacks in violent property and expanded homicide crimes? Why don't we talk about whites outnumbering blacks and getting arrested in the cities, metropolitan counties, non-metropolitan counties, and even suburban areas? I mean, like I said before, it seems like that's all white people do is commit crimes. So if you want to make those generalizations about black people, we can do the same for you guys, even though in reality, for both black and white, majority of each of our races are not behind bars. And I know there are those who want to argue about blacks filling up the prisons, but I get into that in another video. Even though we say whites do get arrested more, they still want to talk about, well, blacks, y'all still fill up the prisons more. Yeah, well, you can thank racial disparity for that. But not only that, we white people are not that far behind in equaling and eventually outnumbering blacks in the prisons. White people are more than likely to outnumber black people in prison. But people just want to make statements because it sounds good, but they don't want to look into the reason why something like that even exists. And we'll get into that in another video for those who are unaware. All right, let's continue. Myth number two: blacks commit most violent crime in America. Now, you can click on the link and you can see for yourself, but this is where I got my source from. 37.4% of the known murders in America were committed by black people. 33.5% of the known murders in America were committed by white people. Now, there's only a 4% difference. White people, y'all just knocking on the door. Hello? Come on in. But, I mean, how dangerously close is that? You know what I'm saying? 33.5% to our 37.4%. Yes, black people make up 13% of the population, and the 36 known murders matches more directly with black people poverty levels, which are significantly above that of whites. And violent crime in America have more to do with poverty levels in neighborhoods than with the race of local residents. Click on the link and you can see for yourself about the dynamics of poverty and crime. And with the number of violent crimes, blacks are at a highly disadvantage, especially in black areas, than they are of white areas. Black communities, white communities. And the FBI, they state that when it comes to murder offenders, now if you were to look on the chart, okay, you're going to see between the ages of 9 to 12, black and white, there's a tie. Now, from the ages 13 to 29, blacks outnumber whites in committing homicide. But then, when you look on that same chart, white people from ages 30 to 75 and older outnumber black people in committing homicide. I mean, there are white people from ages 30 to 40 outnumbering committing homicide than black people who are from the ages of 30 to 40. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to look at it like that. So to put it in simpler terms, younger black people commit more known homicides than older black people. Older white people commit more known homicides than younger white people. Younger black people commit more known homicides than younger white people. Older white people commit more known homicides than older black people. So as we can see, when we look at certain age groups, blacks outnumber whites and whites outnumber blacks as murder offenders. But then when we, add them all together, blacks do outnumber whites in committing violent crimes. But there's only a 4% difference. It's not like it says 37.4 known murders are committed by blacks and 10.7 known murders are committed by whites. No, white people, y'all are like 4% behind us. So stop trying to act like y'all are freaking angels, okay? Quit ignoring that you guys can commit the same amount of crimes as blacks can. Any human being, regardless of race, can commit the same immoral acts. Doesn't matter, And another thing I want to point out, white people, stop making excuses about Hispanics are being lumped into your category as the reason you would even have high numbers based off what society deemed as immoral. Because honestly, if you're going to use that excuse to justify these numbers, for example, the large number of rapes that's recorded that whites committed to being arrested more than blacks, or for that matter, commit hate crimes, then you just need to stop because it's not going to hold. Because you know what? Black people could just as well easily argue that Hispanics are lumped into our category as African Americans. Not to mention other ethnicities that can be identified as black. If you weren't able to look further into who they really are and just going by what you observe in front of you. So please, I want y'all to kill that nonsense. Besides, Hispanics, they have their own category. So please stop presenting that bullshit out to others. Because as I said before, it's not going to hold any water. Now, I'm going to stop the video right here, and we're going to continue on to the next video where I talk about myth number 3. Blacks economically are held back, and we're going to go into more. I'm going to go into more detail. I'm just going to make that a video on its own. So I'll holler at y'all into the next video.